spite of the lack of audience, or in terms of quantity, will make up for the quality. We thank all of you for being in attendance at this meeting, which we will officially call to order at 6:35 p.m. With that, we will proceed with our roll call.
Okay. All right. Andy Wilson?
Present.
I can't remember who's next. Mark Fennison?
Present.
Joe Shy?
Present.
Kevin Flynn?
Present.
And Justin Olson?
Present.
And Mayor Smith?
Here.
Okay, all present.
Excellent. With that quorum established, we'll proceed by standing to our pledge of allegiance, and would invite Mr. Olson to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I have one item at the moment in the mayor's report, which you would note on your agenda, and it relates to an emerging potential technological advance in the city of Vader. I'm sure that I'm not the only one who's noticed here in the past several weeks some less than positive reporting in the media relating to Vader City Council meetings and allegations that there is some cronyism taking place behind closed doors and such. And to address, however specious those comments and innuendos may be, as I've spoken with council members, there is some concern that the public, perhaps we could exercise some more enhanced public relations efforts to ensure that the residents of Vader are kept up to speed as far as what the council and the city administration are doing. And to that end, I thought to myself that it may be an appropriate time to consider reinitiating a monthly or bi-monthly newsletter. It's what we did in the city of Vader when I first became mayor, and that ran for about 2.5, 3 years. And it was mailed out with the utility bills. And so I thought that perhaps this might be something the council would want to consider to reinitiate. It would require an expenditure of some funding, but nonetheless, I would let the council know that I would begin to explore that if the council so indicates feasibility. So could I get some sense of feedback from the council regarding that matter? And it wouldn't involve the city clerk or city deputy clerk because of the intensive nature of the effort. Having written it myself for the 2.5 years, as I indicated, it's easy to say you're going to do, but it's not necessarily easy to do that on a monthly basis. I'm sure the town crier editor, who's a professional writer, would attest how difficult it can be to, on a month in and month out basis, do that. But I think it might be worth it. So, and I don't recall exactly what the expense was for it, but do you have a?
I don't have a dollar amount. The reason we sent it with the sewer bills is so we wouldn't have to pay additional postage. And so the postage isn't an issue because we already pay for that postage. The only cost that would be involved would be the cost of the paper and the printing, and the cost of having one of us stuff them, fold and stuff.
So my guess is it'd probably be about $50 every 2 months.
I think that's generous.
Okay.
Yeah, I doubt it would be that much, but
You're going to be talking about a ream of paper and somebody
less
spending
than
about an hour.
I mean, there's about 250 sewer bills that go out, so it would be a copy of 250 pieces of paper. Unless it was 3 pages long, that would be another story.
Yeah, sometimes they were,
Mm.
depending on the issue, but more than likely it'd be just two-sided. But there was a period of time in which we actually sold advertising space in it.
I remember those letters, and they were nice to have.
Yeah, I got some positive feedback, but there are those who would be aggravated regardless of what you
Oh,
did.
right. That's right.
Comes with the territory. We could do more research and get back with you. Yes.
What kind of current information is out there right now? Is there a website out there where people can access to, or?
I was about to turn the time over to Mr. Chai,
Okay.
who's
Sure.
indicated that, well, I don't want to steal any time, but
The
very
short
excited about
answer
what
is
you've done
no.
here. Huh?
The short answer is no.
No.
We don't have anything.
We have a website, but no.
That might, yeah.
It's
That
not
might be an
up and
option,
running.
if people do have that option, just help, just turn the lights on for us questions, if they had any questions, like, to, just to check into. So,
We did do a letter, and we did have a website, we just put it on the website and saved the postage in the paper.
There you go.
Good, yeah. But then you'd probably lose the number of residents who don't have access to that. But
Well, I'm surprised the number of houses I call and the people are starving, but they all have their cell phones, they all have their TVs, and they all have their computers.
Mhm.
So, I'm rare,
an
I don't
option
have
we
a
can check out.
computer.
A lot of them too have the cell phone today, they got the website on the phone.
Yeah, you do.
They play 24/7 on that phone.
Mhm.
Yeah. You're right, Andy.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if I could.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I just wanted to add about the website is that it's just lack of man-hours is the only reason why we don't have our website up and running and current. We have a site, it's just not been completed, and it's just strictly lack of man-hours. We're always looking for volunteers who like to do that kind of thing, who might want to get it up and going for us, and then we could post our information. We will need to be doing that in the next year with our planning department. But the other thing I was going to mention is that you can post it on the website and send out a one-time flyer to all the billing customers and say, it's on the website, if you prefer to get it in hard copy, let City Hall know, and then we could include it in just those people who want it in hard copy.
I prefer,
So.
if the council wants to do better, we can get something started. But I prefer to go 21st century and use the website, which I would just turn over to Mr. Chai, because he's the one who contacted me about this concept of a website for information accessible to the public.
Well, thank you. I think you're giving me too much credit, and you're going above and beyond what I had in mind.
Really?
Well, I mean, initially. What my intention was just to get our city council meetings out there and available to the public. Currently, they can come down here and they can sit at one of the computers and listen to the audio if they'd like. It could be a big deal for somebody to come out of their house and get down here. So if we just get the audio online, they can stay at home at their own convenience, listen to it day or night whenever they want. And the more people that know what we're doing, the better. So the easiest way that I knew of right now would be for the city to create its own private YouTube channel. It's free. We can customize it. Put our audio on there, and when the time comes and we have our own regular web page that we own ourselves, we can embed those videos on our own web page. So it'll already be there. It still won't cost us anything to stream that bandwidth. And so we could do that right now. We could get the audio, put it online, and have the meetings online within a week or so. And I'm willing to help out get that done. I created a fake YouTube page for the city. Let me pass this one down to you guys down there. This is what the channel would look like. And we could customize it. We could put whatever images we like. For every city council meeting, it would be considered one video. Of course, there isn't streaming video in it. But we could pick whatever image we want to be the static image for a city council meeting. So see here, the first few here that I have are City of Vader stationery on there as the image that would show the entirety during the audio cast of our city council meeting. or we could have images around town or wherever we want. The name of this is the City of Redab, which is Vader spelled backwards, so it's not Vader itself, it's just a fake account. But we could do whatever we want, we could put whatever images on there and make it we want. It's free, we can disable comments if we don't want people to be able to comment on our council meetings. Or if we do, we could leave it on. It's our choice. And this is what, if you were to pull it up and actually click on one of them, that's what the YouTube video would look like. Anyway, it's easy, we could do it right now,
Free, great.
and it's free.
Great.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think that's better than doing a website.
Okay. Well, I see affirmation, head nodding.
I'll vote yes on it.
Okay. Approve down there. You okay with that, Andy? Then
Justin?
Yes. Yeah.
With that unanimous affirmation, which I discern from council members, we'll involve Mr. Shy and perhaps your wife, in however is appropriate, and we'll get it started.
Well, that's great, I think, the more transparency and the more we get our information out there, people can listen to them, the more the better, so.
It might eliminate some mythology that is so popular here in town.
Or it might start.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
We talked about being more transparent and people making comments. I just want to say something to Stephen Floyd, and I want to thank him for his rebuttal of the sarcastic comments in the paper. I appreciated your rebuttal, and I thought it was nice, and I want to thank you for that.
Appreciate that. Mr. Flynn just echoed comments that were made to Mr. Floyd from the mayor as well. So your perspectives were not lost to others. We appreciate any media coverage, regardless.
Good or bad, but I love it when it's honest.
I will wait till the utilities. That concludes the mayor's report. I've jumped down to the other reports. I guess the sheriffs weren't ready for their reports.
I guess not.
Okay.
We'll expect it at the next meeting.
Yeah, I have no doubt they will. Okay, so let's proceed with the report from our park board.
It's nice to see you with two shoes on, Steve.
I know. Now it's my back.
You aren't the only one.
Well, we had a meeting, Tuesday the 11th here this week, and we discussed some new business here. It was future pie sales. We're going to try to have a pie sale on the 4th of July to raise money for the park board, for the parks. And also, on May Day, we're going to have a fundraiser with flowers. And they're going to be pots, hanging pots, and they're $35 with a donation. Our cost is $20 or $22 for them. We see about $15 profit on that. And also it was brought up again, the car club, they're wanting to have their car show, and they discussed last year's fees, which was $50 for the park for the day, and we went ahead and granted that $50 fee for them, since we did it last year, and it sounds like this might even be the last year that they're going to do that.
Comment from the...
The park board doesn't have the authority to grant a lesser fee. It has to be proposed to council as a request, and then,
Okay.
but
Yeah, I told them
But
that it would have to go
in
through council, but
in the event that we can discuss it more, I don't know that council can make a decision on that right now. I think we have to check into the legality of doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know the legality, but they did it last year, so.
Yep.
So in the park board, you just discussed the feasibility of it.
Yeah.
Present the...
And then we present it to you, and then
Okay.
we'll go from there. I just told them we'd look into it. We okayed it, but it's up to you to make the decision. Then we went over
some of our upcoming projects. We're still working on the fence line between Worden Park and Warren's house there. I've got some lumber prices not finished yet, but we'd also like to get some garbage cans for the parks. Up here, we've got 2 55-gallon drums, but they got domes and they're both busted off, and it's a real bee problem. So, if we can locate something reasonable price on the lids, we can put a couple up here. And down at the other park, I don't know that we can. At this time, we'll go ahead and get lids for them. They're open containers now. And the garbage cans are so beat up, the regular garbage cans, I think we're going to try and see if we can locate some 55-gallon drums that they won't destroy. And we plan to open the park, McMurphy Park, on the 20th of next month of April. And apparently the cameras are working. We haven't had any damage that we're aware of that's anything showing up yet. So things are looking good down there. Oh, and also, I have a little brochure here, but we're looking for some barbecue grill park style, square ones on a metal post. And I've got some prices, and it looks like between the purchase of the grills are about $160 a piece, and the shipping is about $40 a piece, so they're right at $200 a piece. We'd like to get 4, 1 for McMurphy, or 3 for McMurphy Park, and 1 up here for Worden Park for the time being. And that can be changed, because there's, as it stands right now, there's no barbecuing or fires down there at the park, McMurphy Park, and this would be a way to start it. It'd be pretty safe. We'll get with the fire department. They can check it out and see if they've got any objections to where we're going to put them.
4 times 160.
Well, it'd be $800 then.
That's obviously the amount the council would have to.
And these are commercial duty.
What do we have in the park board funds?
They have enough for it.
Yeah.
They have enough for it? That answers that? Pardon?
Did you hear the question?
I asked if they had enough money in the park funds to pay for those barbecues, and they do have enough money to pay for those. So it would be, I think it'd be smart.
And off of here, but something to do with the parks, the VCCI, which is a committee that was started several months ago, and they've raised, most of it, the park members are involved with that, but now it's up to about $2,200 that we've got in there that'll go to the basketball slab and stuff here at the park. Plus we have another $926, I think it is, that'll go to that too. Okay.
Well, maybe while you're up there, council can act on the request about the barbecues. But I would add to the park board's report, because I was talking to Stephen, you're aware of the potential grant through Burlington Northern Railroad. I think I mentioned it in the last couple of councils.
Yep.
Their point of contact there is Deanna Dugas. And I finally did get to talk to her. She's very cooperative, very supportive of the City of Vader's efforts. Her position is as a director of the Public Relations Department for Burlington Northern. And I was given her name by Gus Malonis, who we've been working with on the Little Crane Street situation. But she's indicating that all we have to do, and I did talk to the individual, Julie Smith, who's my wife, of course, about it, and she's been briefed on what needs to be done. We simply need to work with Deanna Dugas through the website that they have and fill out the forms, and she will lead us by the hand through this process. So there's no guarantees, obviously, but I would suspect in the next couple of weeks we'll have some positive reporting back for you as to the status of that. And we're not talking huge amounts. It's important they made that very clear up front, all the parties involved with it. But it's not nothing. It could be something. But we'll have to articulate basically, well, it has to be a charitable function and benefits the members of the community. And playground equipment or park development fits that category. So it may not hurt if we had matching funds to demonstrate the city's skin in the game. So to throw out the hypothetical, if we were going to go for a grant and it happened to be $5,000, if the city had $5,000 and if another organization like the Vader Citizens League, which by the way I did contact and asked it, because they've already contributed $750 this year to the park fund. But I asked and mentioned the potential grant to see if that organization might also throw a little bit into the pot, and they visited their finances and declined, just so you're aware of that. Not that they didn't want to, but they have other things that they're trying to do. But that's the concept, it's where we're at. So I know we'll be discussing the budget on item number 3 under old business. And this is probably a more fitting topic during that time period.
So you would want to wait to make a decision on the park board buying those barbecues until the idea of the grant is finalized, so we have money that we have to have matching funds.
You might want to, or you could go ahead.
That's, if we're talking a month's time, it would be fine.
Yeah, they could still be in by summer.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It does if we can turn 800 into 1,600.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, good point.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just by waiting a little while.
Okay, but there, I was just for information.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's, I guess there was no actionable item emerged from that if we consider the grant as a strategy. Let's proceed with the approval of minutes. Hopefully, go ahead.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of February 27th, 2014 city council meeting.
If Mr. Wilson has submitted a proposal to approve those minutes without change, do we have a second for that motion? Seconded by Mr. Fennison. If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. We'll proceed with public comment.
There is no one signed up for public comment.
Okay. Now we can proceed with the approval of our agenda. I would inform the council that after careful deliberation with our city attorney, Carol Morris, and in consultation with our city clerk, I suggest that it would probably be wise if we deleted item number 2 under old business for tonight's agenda. The update on timber harvests.
The whole section number 2?
The entire section, yes.
Okay.
For reasons which I would clarify at our next council. But that's the only change I would ask the council to consider.
I'll put a motion forward that we approve the agenda as written with the exception of item number 2 being deleted.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. McFlynn has submitted a motion to approve the agenda to include the mayor's recommendation to delete item number 2 in its entirety under old business.
I will second that.
Seconded by Mr. Wilson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, we'll now proceed with the voucher approval. with figures so noted.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers into February in the amount of $13,487.19. And the 1st of February, $10,560.27. For a total for February vouchers, $23,997.46.
You've heard the motion submitted by Mr. Scheid to approve the February vouchers and totals so noted. We have a second?
I second.
Seconded by Mr. Olson. Okay. Additional commentary? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. All right. Steaming right ahead. Item number 1 under old business. I wanted this first because I knew that Kathy Reed would be with us this evening, and knowing how precious her time is, I hope that we could work our way through each of these talking points. Item number 1A, is a brief conversation with the council on the workshop. Okay.
So, thank you, Mr. Smith, Mayor Smith. Again, I'm Kathy Reed, Department of Commerce, and as we discussed at your council meeting last week, I proposed 2 or 3 workshops regarding wastewater, and we have now set a date for the first one, and that's going to be a week from tomorrow, Friday, March 21st, and this is, as you agreed, this will be open to the public as well as the council. For you, here are the this is just the topics that we'll be covering. David Dunn from Department of Ecology will be with me to maybe fill in some of the more technical aspects of it. In the other communities where I've done these workshops, we also have the wastewater operator. You're kind of between operators at this point, so that's a little awkward. And also in the past, we've had the community's consulting engineers, which are also between consulting engineers. So I think we can cover things pretty well, but just wanted to tell you that up front. I think it'll take about 2 hours. I think because you don't have an operator, at least that will have been on the job for a long time by then. I don't know what's coming on the agenda.
You'll hear.
Okay. I don't know that we should go down and have a tour after this particular workshop. I think we should perhaps do that in the future when somebody can speak more knowledgeably about what we're looking at. But it's going to be held here. I'm going to have some more extensive handouts on these topics. It's just so that we can all share some common language about wastewater, get to understand some of the requirements and responsibilities a little bit better. I'm hoping that this will help us all as we get to the point that you start working with, assuming you approve the contract eventually with the consultants that are going to be updating your sewer plan. I'm hoping this will give everybody a little bit background information to make better decisions as we move ahead. So I encourage you to let people who you think would be interested come. I don't know how many to plan for. If you hear a lot of people are coming, let me know so I can make more copies. I'll bring a lot of copies. But, are there any questions about these? Oh, so the first one's going to be on the 21st, and then I think the second one's going to be Friday, April 18th, I think it is. Something like that. Yeah, I think our tentative date is Friday, April 18th, if that works for everyone.
Okay.
Same place, same back time, same back place.
Any questions, concerns? I know, Kathy, you've extended, or trying to extend some invitations to members of the public. I've seen that little list.
Right, and I need to still get the contact information. You know, there's people that I've met in the audience and former council members that I know are very interested in this topic, and just this is a huge topic for the city, and I think it would be great to have as many people as possible involved, partly because more brains are better than one, partly so that we can get the word out there as you move ahead with whatever your options are going to be. I think the more people that know what is going on, the less rumors there are about what's going on.
Exactly.
We're all for that.
So if you have any other ideas for me or things you want me to keep in mind or anything like that, let me know. Jill has my, I should have given my card. But,
Do we want refreshments or some such thing? Refreshments?
That sounds like a good idea.
I think we're planning on that.
Are we?
Oh, but now
Oh, thanks.
25.
In order.
And again, I'm really excited. I think this is a good chance. You have it already, I know, Ken.
Oh, you got it.
With 3 new council members.
Yes.
So I'm excited you guys
I've
are.
got you.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do. Yeah. Well, we, on behalf of the council, we express our sincerest appreciation for your willingness to do this for us. It's huge. So we'll hopefully take full advantage of it.
Thank you. I'm glad it works out for
Okay.
everyone.
And now may be an opportune time. I know Mr. Scheid approached me at the outset of the meeting with concern about a little note that we got relating to utility bills. And he asked if there might be a time during this evening's meeting to express some commentary regarding that note.
Thank you. All the council members are aware of it. One of the sewer utility bills that was returned to the city from one of our paying customers, she expressed concern that our rates are beyond ridiculous. Outrage, etc.
Shame on us.
Shame on us, yeah. So, I went and looked up the water rates for various cities around the area. In particular, Castle Rock, Jill helped me verify the actual
Water or sewer rate?
Sewer only. This is for sewer only. So, for instance, Vader charges $58 for the first 4,500 gallons of sewer usage. Castle Rock would charge $76. So we are nearly $20 cheaper for the same amount as Castle Rock. So, for example, we charge $58 for 4,500 gallons. Vader charges $87.50.
No,
Yes,
you said Vader.
Excuse me, Winlock charges $87.50. So we're nearly $30 cheaper than Winlock for the same amount of sewer. I haven't verified Napavine, but according to their website, we're nearly $20 cheaper. So it goes on and on. I have 10 cities here ranging everywhere from Hillsboro, Oregon through Seattle, and we are exactly right in the middle of all those cities for water rates. So,
Sewer rates.
Excuse me, sewer rates. I keep saying sewer rates.
There's water.
It's odd that it's separate.
I know.
That's right.
So anyway,
That's valuable.
And Toledo, you didn't mention Toledo.
Toledo-
Toledo is higher than we are, and they're expecting another big increase.
actually, what Toledo's told me on the phone was that they're actually the cheapest, is what they said. So I talked to the city clerk in Toledo.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Talk to the people in Toledo.
So she said they're $33, and it's a flat fee. But I haven't actually verified that on somebody's bill. So they're the cheapest among the 10 cities.
Well, but that's prior to their construction of their new waste treatment facility.
Yes.
So, yes.
Joe, you've done the same thing that I done almost 15 years ago. The people in the city, it's just the dollars they got in their head. We were cheaper 15 years ago when I done the same thing you did for the sewer and the water. But it's hard to explain it to the people, and what I did, I posted it, and then they quit hollering.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that the city could have a comparison sheet just on hand, so that someone comes in and wants to complain, they can say, well, just so you know, here's a comparison.
Very good.
Excuse me, if we had a nice reporter that comes to the council meeting, you know, and if he would make a statement in the town crier, that it might shake some of these people up from hollering at it.
Well, if you've got as Joe, we talked and approved, this U2 thing coming up, whatever they call it, just post it on there, people can read it.
Yeah, you could do that too.
Included in the newsletter.
Yeah, put it right on the stand as they come in and pay their utility bills, have a big sign right there.
I wanted to let you know that Association of Washington Cities also every other year does a survey that looks at, it's called the user rate and fee survey, something like that. So they look at water, sewer, garbage, all sorts of fees in cities. And you can get that electronically at the council member from AWC. I think it's called User Rate and Fee Study Part 4 or something like that. The thing that, you guys take it with a grain of salt though, as well as your numbers, because some of those communities have brand new treatment plants and they have debt that they're paying. Some of them have old lagoons that need to be upgraded and they're not paying new debt yet. So you can't quite compare apples to apples on the numbers.
Yeah, it's their estimates. I mean, they're taken right off of right off their websites and right from some of what the city clerks have said. So it's the best we can do, but it gives us a ballpark to know that we're not outrageous and we're not ridiculous, and that we're right where we
No shame.
we're right where we should be.
Yeah, okay. You had a comment, Mr.?
I did, it just flew out, it's a senior moment.
Okay. Well, with that, thank you for that research, and most timely and very informative. Let's jump to item 1B. This, in my mind, is the most important thing that the council has before it this evening. That's council decision on the VHC, which is the construction company that the council approved to submit a scope of services that relates to the wastewater facility plan update that would contain or produce the alternatives that we have for our waste treatment system. I trust that you've had a chance to read it because time is of the essence on this. I know that having spoken with members of the council that there are concerns about what it means and such, but before I make any sort of editorial commentary, I would just turn it over to the council for your careful consideration.
These funds, so the total amount of this is $163,827. Exactly where does the funds come to pay for this? I'm a little behind the curve.
That's an excellent question. We can start right up the front, reminding the council that we have $950,000 in grant funds that are set aside,
Half grant, half loan. Andy's the only other one that needs it.
Pass this down to Andy.
You have that
I like the grant funds.
intended. It's intended for design and planning purposes only, not planned to pay for any project. And so we've been authorized by the Department of Ecology to, whatever the cost of this is, to spend half of the cost from those funds. So 50% would come from the grant portion of that funding source.
And 50% from the loan portion.
So we'd have a loan that would cover, and that would be melded in to the total expense involved with the replacement or upgrading of our system, the final solution. So this is step one towards the council being able to deliberate on what would be the ultimate solution to our problem.
Yes, so the,
First expense to be incurred.
Would it be okay if I clarify what it was that we were looking to accomplish tonight, as far as
Yeah, that
the
might be
the
helpful.
specific decision?
Yes.
What, the point that we're at with the consultants, or with the engineers at this point, is that city staff, as well as Kathy Reed, David Dunn from Ecology, have been working closely with the engineers to create an appropriate scope of work. And we've gone through many edits of it, and meetings over the phone and in person, and so we all feel pretty confident that the scope of work is sufficient and accurate. And then BHC has attached their fee schedule for the work that we've listed in the scope. And so at this point, what we're trying to determine is if council approve of the scope of work and the cost proposal by BHC. This is still in edit form, a draft form, so this is the point that council gets the opportunity to say, hey, this I don't like, this I do like, whatever. This is your opportunity to say before we put together a contract with them. So at this point, if all of council says, we don't like any of it, forget it, we can chuck them out the door and start all over again, but we don't want to do that if we don't have to. But I'm just saying, you do have as much or as little control over that as you like. So that's basically what we're looking for.
if I remember all this, we're under some time
Mr. Olson
constraints.
actually got my attention first.
Okay.
Then hold your thought.
I'll wait.
I know they've seen your moments here.
And how does this tie in with Kathy's workshops as far as the information?
Good question.
My workshop, the first one's going to focus on just some of the basics of wastewater and kind of the environment in which the city is operating and the environment in which the consultants are developing this plan. So I think the workshops will help you kind of understand when you start working with consultants what they're talking about a little bit better. The second workshop that I'm going to be put together for April is going to be more on the financial aspects of wastewater. So I think it kind of leads into starting to work more closely with a consultant.
Okay. Thank you.
If I remember, we're under some time constraints, and that's why we have to get this going, because we can't really do anything until we get this done.
Right, and until the contract is I'm sorry, I jumped in.
Well, you're actually stealing my marketing.
Okay.
I was hoping the council would just embrace it, but you've been very valuable clarifying. I would echo what Mr. Blaine has just indicated. This is our second go-around, for those of you who are just new here. And we rejected the first engineering technique because we thought it was too expensive. But so we didn't lose, but this is the second go-around, and I would be extremely uncomfortable if we had to reinitiate this complex process.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Could I make
And then
a
Jill,
I just want to say that I think you were about to reject that first one, but they backed out before you.
Right.
They heard that it was.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add to that is the affirmation of the time issue. It doesn't mean you can't take time if you need it, but we do have issues with the receiving water study, that it has to be done at certain times of the year, and if we wait too long to get this going, it won't be able to be done until next year, and so then it would really put us off.
Because
So,
we have to get the
so-
certain schedule year for.
right,
We ran into that with the last
So,
people.
yeah, so I mean, there is some definite time issues here, but
So we have a budget of $900,000. Half that's loan, half that's grant.
Loan and grant, yeah.
And then what's the total expense of the scope?
I think it was 100 and...
83,837.
163.
No, 63.
863.
163.
One
He said 80.
There it is, 163,
Yeah.
827. Okay.
Mayor, could I add a little history?
Please.
Okay, so it's kind of odd that you have this much money right now for just a plan. You updated your facilities plan 4 or 5 years ago, and your consultant at the time applied then for design money for what was the preferred alternative then, the oxidation ditch. So design can often cost 10% of the construction cost. So construction cost was about $8 or $9 million. They applied for $900,000 for design of an oxidation ditch. Then you guys started considering blue array, and you stepped back and you said, hey, wait, we're not ready to design an oxidation ditch. And so you negotiated with the ecology and said, can we change the scope of work on what we applied for? And you were able to do that because it was pre-construction funds.
Right.
If you had applied for construction funds and then you said, no, we want to go back to planning, you couldn't have done it. So they allowed you to say, okay, now you can use this money for facilities plan update and then design of the selected alternative. So it's kind of weird that you have this much money there right now.
But enjoy it.
Usually, communities would only have the amount for the planning, and then they would have the amount for the design.
So basically, they've allowed us the opportunity to look for a new alternative that's not a $9 million alternative. So they've, yeah.
Okay. This is actually a sweet deal. Yeah. And it's-
Wonder if we wanted to change to this aerator system that we were looking at,
It will be one of the alternatives that will come from their report.
from their report.
Mhm.
Okay, that's all I want.
We can't pick anything until we get this report back.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Because
I like that aerator
Hold that up.
One, sorry, one more. If council approves what they see so far and they say, yes, go ahead, then what we'll do at this point is we'll let the consultant or the engineers know that it's been approved. They'll put it together in contract form, and then we'll bring it back to you at the next meeting for your final approval. So just so you understand.
Mhm. So,
Well, I'm to the point that we have to do something to meet Department of Ecology. And I think this is really the first step, am I correct? The first step, and I would like to go for it.
it's just
You making a motion, Andy?
Yeah, huh?
you making a motion to...
I'll make a motion to that.
Okay, to accept their scope of services as provided.
Right.
Okay, Mr. Wilson?
Maybe I'm wrong, but.
Well, we'll find out at the other council.
We gotta move.
Mr. Wilson has submitted for council's consideration the motion to approve the City of Vader scope of services as prepared by the BHC Limited, contracting company. So, do we have a second for that motion?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Flynn. Now's your opportunity to express concerns, opinions, questions.
I have another question.
Okay.
So, $160,000 and change.
Yeah.
The Vader's gonna be on the hook for half of it, correct?
Mhm.
For $80,000 of it.
Yeah, I did
Yes.
the arithmetic, and it's 81,000, of course, I moved my page, but,
I'm sure we're all clear on
Mhm. Mhm.
It's $81,593.50.
And the citizens are gonna pay for that out of the sewer rates, correct? And then when does that go into effect? Does that start immediately for everybody?
It does not start immediately. The repayment of this loan, I'm not sure, I'll have to check. Generally, it's when all the project has been completed and the monies have been expended that the loan then comes into effect. Then you start paying it back. So it will probably be,
I think that's the time.
It's kind of like a standard
We can have
construction
David
loan.
back,
Yeah.
next Monday, or,
Yeah.
sorry, next Friday.
yeah, that's true.
Because he's in the financial
Yeah.
assistance.
So it's probably at least a year, if not a couple of years out before that will start actually being required to make the payments back, so.
Do we have estimates on what that's gonna increase the rates?
Well, we do. I don't have it with me.
But
I'm
it depends on the length of pay it back.
Of course,
Well-
it's only the first part of it, right? It's
Right.
only a small portion of what it's
Right,
actually.
exactly.
Well, if it works out properly, we could, the solution could be cheaper than the engineering report.
Forward generally.
Yeah.
Well,
Depending which one you
that would be a
pick.
miracle.
Right.
Normally, this is the tiny little amount on the overall budget costs of the project. But, okay, any other questions or comments prior to voting? All right, hearing none. All in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, well, I'm very proud and pleased of the council action tonight, and thank you. In my little mind, it was a historic moment. It's our first official step in the right direction. Okay, with that, I would jump to item 1C, update on the latest relating to Blue Array. I can tell you that the two former owners of Blue Array have now disassociated themselves with that company, and so as of Tuesday, I've been informed that J.H. Kelly, the contracting company from Vancouver, now has full legal authority to all equipment and the technology associated with that system that's sitting on our property. And so, with that authority, they are setting in motion steps to establish a contractual relationship with the contracting company, and it would be inappropriate to make any inferences of which company, but to walk through what's on our property, see what is left of it, and then assess the feasibility of retooling what's there to see if it can actually be made to work, and do it in compliance with current Department of Ecology regulations and guidelines. I would probably be remiss to take it any further than that, but you can use your imagination. And that's where we're at with the Blue Array system. Yes, Mr. Wilson.
Well, then, it's a very possibility that you get a good company like J.H. Kelly here in Longview. If they got the system operating again, it's a possibility that maybe it would be a new project for us. I really liked the system when it first started, the way it was working, but then it got so confusing. I go down there and they look at me.
You weren't alone.
Yeah.
You're hypothesizing what I was reluctant to state for the record, but I don't think we can rule out anything. The one thing that was made very clear was that there would be no effort on anyone's part to engage in this as an alternative if it could not, did not fit within the parameters established by Department of Ecology.
That's right.
So that, I think, I could state with confidence is going to be one of their objectives. What the outcome may be remains to be seen. But I was asked if it might possibly be included in one of the alternatives that would emerge. And you'll note in the scope of services that the Blue Array system could or would be one of the alternatives available for the city of Vader. Is that clear? Okay. So that's the latest relating to what's happening. There are some issues related to the bins, but I don't think we'll make it a matter of public record. If you want to know what those issues are, I'd be more than happy to talk to you after the meeting. That's been brought to our attention.
What do you mean by the bin?
Those are the units that have the filtration system
The Blue
inside.
Array. The Blue Array
Blue
bin.
Array installed. You haven't seen them yet, I know. but I can clarify that after the meeting. Okay, absent any further discussion on that, we go to item 1D, update on the selection of a wastewater treatment operator. And refresh your memories that you're aware that the relationship we have, the ILA with the City of Wenlock, was intended now to be short-lived, and that our Public Works temporary employee, part-time, has indicated he no longer has a desire or interest to participate in the day-to-day testing and samples analysis that we hoped would have emerged with the ILA with Wenlock. So we've been tasked by the council to initiate efforts to find somebody to fill that bill. We have engaged in efforts. I can tell you that we've identified, through the help of Carl Jones, who's helped the city in the past,
Department of Ecology person.
Yeah, Department of Ecology, a representative who helps small cities in Lewis County and elsewhere. But you're familiar with Carl Jones, a very
I know him well.
a man of high reputation, and is a valued supporter and helper for the city of Vader. But anyway, we've identified an individual who currently serves as the Public Works Director of the city of TL. It's a lady, but since nothing official has emerged yet, if she's there, she's indicated that she'd be willing to fill that function. The question that we have at hand is whether or not it would be a private contract like we did before with Dennis Montgomery. Some of you may recall that relationship with Dennis Montgomery. It could be similar to that, or it could be an ILA with the city of PL, in which we use their labs at whatever costs they deem appropriate. I can tell you, I've spoken with the mayor, Spence
Nichols.
Greenberg, thank you. Spence Nichols, and he's supportive of either concept. He knows that their operator is interested because she could use the money, and believes she has time. So he's going to address the matter before their city council meeting next Tuesday. And he'll let me know Wednesday what happens at their council meeting. And so then I'll inform the council as to where we're at as far as that lead is concerned. You should know that I've dropped the name of
Carl.
Carl Jones. Stay on my feet, my brain just stopped. Close. Carl Jones is going to be approaching the WOW group. It's waste treatment operators. They have a regular regional meeting. He's going to approach all of those people on the 17th of March and let them know of Vader's need. And so he'll disseminate that through all of those representatives. So it may be that we'll have another potential option. So that's where we stand.
Oh, we also have advertisement going through AWC and the newspaper that will be going next week.
Yeah, so we're advertising as well, but historically, that doesn't produce a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
What's TL's operator's name?
Kathy.
No, it's not Kathy. Her last name is
Teresa.
Yost.
Teresa Yost. But for media purposes, I don't know that we're prepared or desirous of having that publicized in the newspaper.
Far too early in the...
Yeah,
Yeah.
And we don't want to put words in city council's mouth, but you can pick what you want.
She realizes that we're not right around the corner from PL,
Yes.
right?
Yes, she's
Yep.
painfully aware of it.
Okay.
But that would be incorporated in potentially the costs of the relationship is the mileage factor. But there's a lot of wiggle room, and I can tell you, I've got to share with the council, it would be remiss if I didn't, that Mayor Nichols said that he's very supportive of the efforts that Vader is requesting, and that he would do whatever he could to ensure that whatever costs of use of their lab would be minimal. So that means I've grown to respect Mayor Nichols over the years, and so if he says something like that, I'm confident that he means it. So that's where we're at. I think we're making progress, but rest assured that we're trying to do this as quickly as we possibly can, so that we don't make Wenlock any more uncomfortable than they already are. And our public works employee, who's doing what he doesn't want to be doing. Okay, good. So with that, that covers most of what I had on item number 1. So with that, I would jump down to now item number 3, review of the budget figures for 2014. And I know we're an hour into our meeting, and this agenda item could generate considerable discussion, but I know that our city clerk...
I left it on the printer. Can I go grab it real quick?
Okay, yeah, had prepared a handout, visual aid, and while she's doing that, I would just inform the council, some of you may not be aware of why this is even on the agenda, but as we evaluate the last month or so, the budget that emerged from 2013, with monies that are available to the city, we are very likely will be looking at an overage in our revenue in 2014. It doesn't apply, it's very important, we know that the revenue surpluses that we're going to be discussing are not created by the increase in utility rates for our waste treatment costs.
Yes, these figures have nothing to do with sewer utility. That's a completely separate fund and account.
See you Friday, next Friday.
So, yes, please be very clear that this has nothing to do with sewer rates. That has to run separate from the city's administrative budget.
So, perhaps I'll turn the time over to you, Jill, to explain the chart.
Okay. So what you see on your chart first is obviously the 2013 revenues and expenditures is the first chart. It's normal that they go up and down like that through the months, because there's some months where, like you'll see in May, there's a huge spike in the revenue, and that's because that's when we get most of our property taxes, is at that time. There's another spike in November, which is the second half of the property taxes, so, you know, it's common to get these spikes. When you see a dip, that doesn't mean that we didn't get any, that just means that we got less. You know, it's less revenue that particular month. And compared with the expenditures, which you see the expenditures don't have such big jumps. They tend to be a little more regular. The one that's interesting to me even more is down below the fund balance. So the beginning balance of 2013, our fund balance, and I should make this clear. The fund we're talking about is the general administrative fund for the city. This takes, that's called the general fund or the current fund. It includes the street money, the street is included in here, and it includes any park money, it includes policing, it includes any administrative costs through the city hall and staff and all of that, but the utilities completely separate. Okay, so that money is not included here. This is just the administrative costs of running the city. So you can see at the beginning of 2013, it was about, I think, $33,000 was our balance at the beginning of the year. We were anticipating, and with the budget from 2013, we anticipated receiving $205,000 in revenues, $237,000 in revenue, and spending $121,000 in expenditures. So we are expecting to have about $25,000 left at the end of the year, at the end of 2013. What we actually had at the end of 2013 was, let's see, oh, that's the beginning. Hold on, let me get to the last one. We actually ended up with 72,000, almost 73,000. And the reason for that is because we did end up with about $10,000 more in revenue than we anticipated. That means we got a little more tax money, a little more, revenue from the state, and we try to make sure that the budget that I provide to you guys with those estimates at the beginning, when you guys are setting the budget, we try to give ourselves a little buffer so that we don't end up with less revenue than what we anticipated. So you'll see we had about $10,000 more than we anticipated. And then also the expenditures, there were some things that we ended up not spending money on that we anticipated spending money on. I think there are things that we still need to spend money on. One of the things was the carpeting in here. That was, I think it was $3,500. Included in the general fund is park money, and the park board didn't spend about $3,500, so that's a little bit there. And they are anticipating using that this year instead, because they're still trying to get that electricity put in the park. The policing costs ended up being much less than what we anticipated at the beginning of 2013. We anticipated having our own policemen that we were paying, and so those costs were, the expenditures were expected to be much more than what they ended up to be at the end of the year. So we did have a cost savings there. So really, we have about the I think it was 56,000 more than we anticipated having. So the budget that we had that was passed for 2014 does not recognize that 55,000 because we weren't anticipating having it. So so that is money that some of it's already accounted for, like the parks money, the $3,500 or so, I think was the number for the park money. But in general, yeah, we didn't spend the street improvement money that we had set aside, and that was several thousand. I don't. No, I think it was like $8,500. Yeah, we would like to roll that over into this year. So there's another $85,000.
That's right.
So I was.
This year was 15 in the budget.
Yeah, right. So we're probably looking about, to be conservative, 25,000 to maybe 30, to be on the conservative side, to have as funds to expend that we weren't anticipating. So does that explain, I think, what you wanted them to know?
Yes.
Okay.
So the first time in my brief 10 years mayor, because we have to deal with this.
Spending money.
Wow.
Well, first thing we ought to do is give the mayor a raise and give the council member a raise.
There
you go.
100% raise.
There you go.
That's an easy one to math. We're making zero now, 100%, we're at zero.
Yeah, 100% rate. So, it wasn't an invitation for the council to immediately devise ways to spend it and to do it in the next 5 minutes. But I know that, that I can tell you from surveys that we've conducted in the past that as far as the residents of Vader are concerned, they have 3 top priority issues. First is streets. You can't stand the outrageous nature of our streets. Number 2 is our parks. And number 3, they can't stand the trash and clunkers that are littering the residents of Vader. Those are the 3 priorities, whatever that means to the council.
Well, it means, my first idea would be the streets.
Yeah.
We have some real problems with streets.
Yeah, we do.
And if we have extra money to apply to some of the streets, it would do wonders. We've got some really bad ones.
I never mentioned any of that to Mr. Flynn, but I tell you, that was bouncing around in the mayor's head. He could take a little bit of it and augment with what we've got. I can tell you, you can pave 275 feet of street, which represents about one entire block, for $8,000, if we can get comparable figures. So we already have 15,000 allocated plus 8,000, that's 23,000. So you can do the math, that's about 650 feet.
3 streets.
Yeah, 3 whole lengths. And if there were a little more at it, then you could add another block. And, but that's just the thought. So,
That's definitely preliminary numbers, because we're not
Oh,
taking into account the cost of possibly needing to redo the buildup of the road underneath, not just the pavement,
Yeah.
so.
Depending
on the road.
We've already identified the target
Yeah.
streets that are worst, but if the council so dictated, we or members of the council could identify and revisit the top 5 problem areas in the city and make a decision relating to the best use of those funds. So, anyway.
As far as the
that
wrecks
was one
go,
thought,
as far as the junkers sitting around, we've got to get going on that ordinance.
Hopefully that's on the agenda.
Because if we pass that, I talked to the sheriff's department, just in talking, and they said they can't do anything if we
No,
pass that.
it's just item
And
4.
we're developing quite the little junkyard over here on, what is that?
Yep.
Sixth
You
Street,
got it.
Sixth Street over there.
Mhm.
It's becoming quite the junkyard, and from what I understand, none of it's illegal.
Yeah, hold
They
that
keep-
thought.
They keep moving them in every day.
Right.
Is that
And
right?
he shut down his mechanical business, he's not doing any mechanicals anymore, he's just collecting junk cars.
And one
And,
must be living in that little...
Somebody is living in that house.
Little trailer.
When they moved out of the trailer, moved into that house.
Camper, I call it.
They moved into the house.
Before we drift into observation of the thing, we have to focus on the budget things, but I know your point is that we need to get that ordinance official and approved, right? And that would come under item number 4. So you'll discover where we're at in that process. So, like I said, I don't want to stand on a soapbox and tell the council, because the council is the entity that decides where revenues get expended. It's your privilege.
Well, a lot of our streets are pretty good shape, but it's the alleys. And I'd like to make a suggestion. I can go back to 1970 when a fellow by the name of Stone King was a public works man. He had an old manual grader, and he went down the alleys because that was where the rock was. And Stone done a good job, Mr. King did. But everything was flat. Excuse me. And we have a big grader for the tractor.
Yeah, we do, box.
I would suggest that you're the boss, that the public employee can put the grader on sometimes and say this, one alley up here by, across the street. Take and do a little blade, and there's quite a bit of rock there. It's just the idea that it's got the holes in it for a while, and I think that if it's a heavy grader, like myself, I couldn't because I don't have enough weight on my blade, but he could grade some of that and help us a little bit, but that's just a suggestion.
Well, yeah, since you correctly pointed out that that's the mayor's responsibility, but the mayor is painfully aware that our part-time, 24-hour per week employee has to do the waste treatment stuff, plus,
I understand that.
Sure. But if we have extra funds, the council might consider increasing his hours if he so chooses, or hire, if he doesn't want to increase his hours because he's retired, then we could identify somebody who can drive a tractor. Or if we wanted to pave our streets and do it ourselves, maybe if we had some extra, we could purchase an asphalt spreader and a steamroller, and we could really stretch asphalt if we could just distribute it and roll it ourselves. But this is an opportunity for the council to be very innovative in how we as a little city, it was what we do more than probably any other little cities, we tend to make every dollar stretch by doing it ourselves, or getting, like on the park board, raising funds from within the community, not relying solely on grants.
Oh, we've got a couple streets that are really, 10th Street is terrible.
Oh, that's on the list,
Yeah.
It's in the top 3.
And there's a couple of other, E and a couple of those streets are obnoxious.
Yeah.
And if we have the money, and the reason I brought up the streets is because everybody that comes through town sees the streets, and that's the first thing that
It is.
designates whether we're living in a sewer or we're not.
Exactly.
And you come down to the city proper, and the streets are in pretty decent shape, except like Andy said, the alleyways.
Yeah.
But those could be dressed up with a scraper.
They could.
But we have a couple streets, and they're primarily on, what would that be, the southeast side of the town, that are,
I think we all know.
yeah, we all know which ones they are.
Another thing, Kevin, like you just said, is that the city doesn't have the proper equipment to fix potholes. First, you need a chipping hammer to cut out a space. Then you need a blower, like I have leaf blower, to blow the mold out. Then the most expensive thing is a blowtorch that they use for blacktop, to take and heat that, and then put the emulsion in there, then put your blacktop in there, but then you gotta have a hand
Compactor.
Yeah, compactor. And that's a few items that aren't cheap, but we don't have them either, and he can't, I know, he's doing a heck of a good job as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yes. But your point is well taken, Mr. Wilson. I mean, they're expensive, but they're not out of reach if you have a little extra. But yes.
Something also to consider when we have a little handful of money is matching funds that can be used as matching funds for grants that we may not have been able to get in the past because we didn't have the matching funds. So we can be creative and make that money stretch and become more than what it is. That's something definitely to look at.
Bear in
So,
mind, yeah.
So
We could begin to perhaps explore some sources that are out there that.
Yeah, we have sources of matching funds.
Yeah.
That,
Mhm.
as I was told, there are funds for streets, but it's matching funds.
Yes, right, we
Mhm.
can't.
We couldn't do it before. We have it now. Maybe we could get enough, if we could get matching funds, that would be something to be able to double the, especially in that area.
yeah, yeah. So we need ideas is what we need, and then we can work on, council doesn't have
I encourage
to.
the council to brainstorm. Now, and like we've said about the parks, for example, if we know the X amount that you've allocated for the parks, I would submit that there are ideas out there that could be very intriguing. I was approached some time ago by the pastor of the Assembly of God Church, indicating that they'd be willing to sell to the city the southern half of that block that's by the jail. If we ever had the money to buy it, they'd sell it to us. And then if we really wanted to make that the park in the heart of the city of Vader, then that would be a dramatic development. And if you wanted to allocate some matching funds for a grant to put one or two pieces of equipment on it in 2014, that's also something we could consider. But those are just ideas. And
I think the first thing we should do is to see if there are grants out there that require matching funds, for pavement or for parks. And because if we have some money to work with, and as you said, Joe, and somebody else said, if we can double those funds by finding matching funds somewhere and see what's available.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
That
we
would
could
double the amount of money we have to work with.
If council approves of that, then we'll initiate an effort to bring some of that, identify what we can as quickly as we can, and then bring it to the council's attention.
I would say that would be the first thing to do.
Okay. Then, I don't want to be too dictatorial, but.
I'll put a motion on the table if that's what you want.
No motion.
Good. I don't want to do
think
it.
You're okay with that proposal to get info? And I suggest that we continue this agenda item discussion at our next council meeting, and we can provide more, you've had a chance to think about it. Okay? All right. Then with that, I would jump into the next item, item number 4. We shouldn't take too long on this one, but you're going to be seeing this item on the agenda repeatedly because I don't need to remind you that this is probably the #1 critical challenge facing our city. And to bring you up to speed, you will recall in our previous council meetings that we have been striving to identify somebody who would fill the planning position for the city of Vader on a contract basis. And we started with Rob White, you recall, from the city of Reston.
Right.
And we concluded
Too expensive.
preliminarily that he was too expensive. Well, we've explored 2 other individuals, one who was at one time associated with the city of Winlock. I personally interviewed him last week, and he indicated that he was not interested or available for that, given the complexities of the position and the responsibility. He was more of a building inspector. And when I described to him the possibility of having somebody like the fellow from Reston, he looked at me and indicated that he probably ought to pursue him. But we had another person from the city of Napavine who Jill went personally. I couldn't make the meeting. I hoped to be there, but wasn't able to. But Jill went and spent 2 hours with this individual. And perhaps you could share with the council some of your observations.
Well, it looked promising. His cost was much lower and was much more reasonable in our cost range. He gave me a lot of free advice about some issues that we were dealing with, at this time, and you know, he seemed very interested in working with us, and so my thought was, at the end of the meeting with him, I thought, okay, I'm going to run these ideas that he has for handling these situations by our city attorney, who is, her expertise is in land use and this kind of planning and development, and see what she says, because I don't know if what he's saying is good or not, you know. And so we did that, and I think we realized that maybe he wasn't what we were looking for, as far as, well, I don't want to say too much.
You don't need to sugarcoat it.
Well, she didn't think that his suggestions were correct. She said, absolutely don't do that. We need to do it the way that I had been researching, but it was a longer process, and he was offering a very short process, and she said, don't you dare do it that way. Do it the way that you've been researching, and that she's willing to help us with that. And so, in any event, it kind of deflated the balloon a little bit, and so she was very concerned about us hiring him as a city planner.
In other words, she was questioning his level of expertise. If you want to see the email that I got relating to that interview, I'd be more than happy to share it with you. But all I could conclude was that it may very well be that we will get what we pay for. And frankly, I'm becoming full circle in this process. Because we have done this before. We end up exploring what the other small towns have got, only now we're discovering that what they've got was similar to what we have been dealing with, which has gotten us into the ordinance and planning pickle that we're in right now. And Carol Morris is, if you were to have interactions like I'm having with Carol Morris, she is the first time we have a city attorney who really knows the law with regard to planning and land use. And she's proven to me that she could take the example that Jill was not sharing with you and look at it and laugh at the professionalism of the opinion that was rendered to us. And then you would question the basis for selecting somebody who would give you that species of advice on planning. So, I guess I'm standing here waffling on what I thought 2 weeks ago was too expensive.
We're going to revisit it.
Yeah. He may be the real deal, and if we can get the product and do it for 1 year, we could get the product out of him and then discontinue his expensive contract, if we want to do that.
He gave us a proposal, didn't he?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
It was $300 a month was a flat rate, just to have him be our planner. And then with that, he would charge us $150 an hour for any work that they did for us, above and beyond. But that I think the quality and the quantity of his work is going to be pretty high.
The $300 a month that we pay to put him on as a planner,
Mhm.
do we get any for that other than having this shingle on our door?
Not exactly, no. I mean, I think he kind of
Cheaper to
includes,
buy a fancy shingle.
I think he
People think we have
he
money.
includes in that they will be creating a website for us and get all of our planning and development and building, permitting, and all of that online.
That's what you get.
That's kind of what you'll
I
be...
would like to revisit feasibility.
Okay.
I would encourage the council to consider that. You don't have to decide tonight on that, but maybe if you haven't seen Rob White's initial contract proposal, maybe if we can get it to you or dig it out and revisit it.
I think we can combine these decisions. We have 2 decisions to make here on excess money in the budget. We can see if we have some grants for matching funds, okay? So if we do that first, and then revisit the plan.
Okay.
Because if we, then we'll know what kind of money we have.
Yep.
Okay, let's hit the grant situation first to see if we can double our funds somewhere. And when we do that, then we can look at the planner, and then it would be feasible for us to look at that in our budget.
Sound okay with you? It gives me goosebumps. I like it.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds like number one, our planning and development, that's number one. And then, then addressing the city issues of streets and parks, and to find out what kind of budget and matching that we have. We need to know those, what matching we do have. And so I think, addressing item 4 there is, and revisiting that, and with the remainder of budget, absolutely.
Okay. I think we can take that direction, and we can prepare ourselves for the next meeting. And it segues beautifully into your concern about the nuisance ordinance, because it's the planner who would set in motion the codification of our ordinances that will set in motion Carol Morris's ability to produce an ordinance that captures all of the deadwood that we have on our books relating to that very subject. So the quicker we can engage in this planning decision, the quicker we can finally begin to implement an ordinance that is sustainable in the court of law regarding nuisances in the city of Vader. Okay, well then, I think I've got marching orders, and we'll prepare for our next council meeting. Thank you. The last item on the old business is we just wanted to make it as a matter of public record a change to the public hearing time and date for...
Oh, I didn't put it on there, did I?
No.
Do you want me to?
Yes.
Okay. Council had approved at the last council meeting to have the public hearing for the marijuana ban ordinance on the 27th of this month. And so I went through and started doing that and getting the advertisement ready. And when I was going through the ordinance, I realized we had a date limit of the 25th. We had to have it done by the 25th. So that didn't work. So as I started to panic, I realized I had just talked to everybody about what dates they were available for the workshops with Kathy Reed. So I spoke with the mayor, and he said, yeah, I guess this is what we're going to have to do, but we set it for the 21st. We had to get the publication in at that point and get it published in the paper, because it has to publish for 2 weeks. So I had to get it in at that point, so we made I didn't make the executive decision, but, to go ahead and do it on the 21st, which is the same day that we're having the workshops with Kathy Reed. We'll have the workshops with her from 1 to 3, and then we'll have the public hearing at 5. We have to have it at least no earlier than 5, according to the attorney, because we have to make it reasonable for people to be able to come if they're regular working people. So she said not to have it any earlier than 5. So that kind of fills up your March 21st, and I apologize that I did not check those dates carefully enough. But that's where we stand right now. So March 21st, not tomorrow, but the next Friday.
I hope that will be accommodated.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, it shouldn't last much more than an hour, and you don't have to make any decisions, you just listen to feedback from members of the public.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and there will likely be quite a few.
Sure.
And there's a lot of information coming up on cities that have approved it
Mm.
and what they're dealing with.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be a forum in which you can just come and be a sponge.
Okay.
Okay, that was that. The last item is under new business. I can tentatively report that I have been, I believe, if not officially yet, it may very well happen, been designated to sit on the TSC board, which is the Transportation Strategy Council for small cities west of I-5. And I will likely be designated as a voting member of that TSC board, which gives a little more responsibility.
It has been finalized, and you are the member.
We're just what I need. But it's not a bad thing, because
You must have missed
I
the
was the one that was there.
Funding for street improvement and other such things. Not much ever actually trickles down to the cities, but knowing the complexities of my agenda in the months ahead on my calendar, I am authorized to select somebody to serve as a board alternate in my absence, and which would also encompass voting on occasion. So I wanted to bring that to the attention of the council. But the meetings are generally during the day, sometimes from 1 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so I knew, and it's generally Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Is when they
It's like,
meet.
it's the third Tuesday of every month at 1 o'clock, from 1 to 2, up in Chehalis at the, no, not at the courthouse, at the planning department, right across from
The
the Yardbirds,
Okay, I know where that
on
is.
Kresge, I think.
I would open that up to any council interest. Absent any specific interest, I would actually consider talking to the mayor pro tem, who at this moment in time is Mr. Flynn, for that designation. But I would be presumptuous to do that in this forum.
I'd do that.
But if there's anybody who might be interested in that position, let me know. Okay, well, with that, that's all the input I had on that topic. So, absent any other commentary from council relating to the agenda, this meeting will be adjourned at 8:09 p.m. Thank you for your attention.